After wrapping up an amazing few days in the Jungfrau region of Switzerland, I'm now headed towards Munich, Germany. To get there, I'm taking a 2-hour train from Interlaken Ost to Zurich, and from here I'll board a 4-hour train to Munich. After a long and cramped 4 hours, I finally arrive in Munich. I'll be meeting back up with my friend Celine, and we'll be staying at the Buddy Hotel near the main station. It is tiny in here. I feel like I'm on a cruise ship. I mean, I guess the shower's bigger than in Rome, so that's good. And then, yeah. And then this is our double bed, way in the corner. TV there, lots of sunflowers, very happy. I don't know, am I being too American about this, or is this just like insanely tiny? I'm still waiting for Celine, who was supposed to arrive a few hours ago, but she was stuck waiting on the infamously late Deutsche Bahn, which is the German train system. While waiting for her, I ended up going ahead and getting some dinner from Burger King, which was right next to the hotel. To be honest, Burger King is my least favorite fast food restaurant, but I was so tired and didn't feel like figuring anything else out. I did at least get a special burger that was specific to the German market called a raclette burger. It was overall better and fresher than American Burger King, but it still had that fake char flavor, which I don't really like. Celine did eventually arrive, but it was so late, so let's just hop into the next morning. The Buddy Hotel had complimentary breads and pretzels, so we stocked up on a few of those before we began our explorations for the day. Now, let's head out and see Munich. We are currently on Kaufingerstraße, which is a pedestrian street with many stores and shops that ultimately leads to Marienplatz, which is the main square in Munich. There are so many beautiful churches in Munich. This one here is called St. Michael München. After going in the St. Michael Church, we will now go to have a traditional Bavarian breakfast. We'll be back to Kaufingerstraße later. We end up in a restaurant called Augustiner Klosterwirt, which is right in front of Frauenkirche, the iconic church with the 2 towers. We'll go inside the church after breakfast. At this restaurant, we'll be sharing a Weisswurst, and I will have a Weiss beer. Yeah, beer for breakfast, which is a new one for me, but when in Munich. Getting beer for breakfast. Don't know about it. Okay, Celine, what kind of beer are you having?
The Augustiner beer.
Oh, really? I don't know if you could tell, but Celine's was just juice. All right, let's go. Oh, wow. Let's do it with our beer, which is actually really good. I'm demolishing this Weisswurst. Gotta peel the... This is kind of gross, actually.
Alright.
Again, I don't know if my technique is appropriate, but it's just what I'm doing here.
Yay! Good job.
This restaurant was so cute, and it was a game day here. So after seeing all of the Bayern Munich fans decked out in gear, it really made me want to go to today's game. I'm really thinking about impulsively purchasing some tickets. But for now, let's go out and admire the beautiful, iconic Frauenkirche. Los geht's? We are now walking over to Marienplatz, which is the main square in Munich. It's very famous for its Glockenspiel, which plays daily at 11 a.m. and 12 p.m., and I believe once more at 5 p.m. from the months of March to October. You can see that there's quite a crowd here gathered around to see the Glockenspiel. After watching the Glockenspiel, we make a quick stop at the Heilig, Geist, Kirche. Again, there are so many beautiful churches here in this one condensed area. Now we're taking a quick stroll around Viktualienmarkt, which is a daily food and farmers market here in Munich. We are now back at Kaufingerstraße to visit the 3-story Bayern Munich store because guess what? I ended up impulsively purchasing those tickets for today's game. Also, my brother is a huge fan, so I'm gonna go ahead and get him a Christmas present while I'm here. The prices were surprisingly low compared to buying team-branded gear in the US. And now here's some footage of us scrambling to get to today's game. This was a major struggle and very frustrating because of the ticket vendor. I purchased tickets through StubHub with my normal StubHub account, but then there was some sort of weird mix-up with the US and international StubHub entities, and I was unable to open the tickets upon receiving them. As a side note, look how crowded this train is. But anyways, for US StubHub, there's pretty much zero customer service or helpline. Fortunately, there was an international helpline, and the customer service rep was actually incredibly helpful and got us exactly what we needed. On top of that, we had other trouble with the tickets. I will say though, this part was on me. It was a total cultural miss because in Germany, there's definitely a preference for physical printed copies of tickets and other important documents, and that was clearly stated on the ticket. So we had to ask the guy at the front desk of our hotel to print these for us, and he happily did, but that all just added to the stress of the whole ordeal. By the time all the ticketing issues were resolved, we still had to make the commute to the Allianz Arena, which was about a 30-minute train ride from the city center, and that's without delays, which of course we experienced. Once we got to the stadium station, we still had to walk quite a long way to get to the arena. At this point, the game had already started. Okay, we're in letter P. We still have a long way to go. It's now halftime and the score is 0-0, so of course we're going to get some classic concession stand food and drink during the half. This was so much better and way more affordable than US concession prices. Honestly, I still think about how good the bread was with that bratwurst to this day.
Bayern. Darmstadt. Danke. Tor für den FC Bayern München. Wenige Minuten im Spiel und dann macht das wieder unsere Nummer 25, Thomas! 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 Jetzt haben wir schon wieder einen...
I think this was one of the highest scoring games I've ever seen, and it was all in the second half. Now it's time to make our way back to the city center. Look how crowded these trains are. We're back in the city center, so let's figure out something for dinner. Let's try Hofbräufhaus, which is arguably the most famous restaurant in Munich. This place is absolutely packed and there's nowhere at all to sit. No room downstairs, we're trying upstairs, we think. We'll have to try somewhere else. Perhaps we can come back tomorrow though when it's less crowded. Let's get in line here at Haxen Grill. It's still a bit of a wait, but not as packed as Hofbräufhaus. I'm really excited for that meat. Of course, we'll be getting the Haxe here. Schweinehaxe is roasted pork, ham hock specifically. It's quite a lot of meat, so Celine and I will split it. And now we're doing a little bit of window shopping, checking out some traditional dirndl dresses, although these seem to be way out of my price range. And now we're making one more stop before we end the night. We're having an Aperol Spritz, which I hear is a very popular drink in Germany.
Prost!
It's the next morning and we're taking a little day trip to see the famous Neuschwanstein Schloss. And Schloss just means castle. We'll see some other palaces along the way as well. This tour lasts around 10 hours and the tour company does a great job to keep you on schedule and optimize your trip. I'll put a Viator link in the description. Leaving the city and heading more south was incredibly beautiful. Here we're passing the tallest mountain in Germany called Zugspitze. Our first stop is going to be Linderhof Palace. This royal residence was built by the Mad King Ludwig II. He was known for his eccentric ways and his love for extravagant architecture. The other castles we'll see today were also of King Ludwig. He built this particular palace to serve as his retreat from the public eye. From this tour, we learned that he seemed to be somewhat of a loner, or at least very introverted, which makes sense as to why this palace is tucked back in a beautiful pocket of the forest. We'll go ahead and get in line for the tour, which is a timed entry ticket purchased by the tour company, and as a note, the tickets are additional to the cost of the overall tour and transport. For this tour, you are not allowed to take photos on the inside, so all interior photos are pulled from the Schloss Linderhof website, which I'll link below. But as you can see, this palace is really one where King Ludwig allowed himself to truly indulge in his extravagant taste. Every nook and cranny was filled with ornate gold detailing. Can you just imagine having to dust that place? And now, this is the view from the back exit. Let's go ahead and walk around through the garden into the other side. I highly recommend climbing all the stairs on the other side for some amazing views of the palace and the surrounding hills. Now we'll go back to the bus so that we can head to our next stop, which is Oberammergau, a small town that's known for its mural buildings, each with their own story. It's also known for its once-a-decade play, Passion, which is the telling of Christ. Here's the theater where that production is held. We only have 30 minutes at this stop, so we won't venture off too far, but we'll grab ourselves a little coffee and a slice of dessert. A little Kaffee and Kuchen, if you will. Now it's time to head to the next stop, which is Neuschwanstein Castle. Of course, this will be the main highlight of the tour. Here's one of the parking lots for this little area where the castle is. As you can see, it's pretty packed. It's definitely a very touristy place with plenty of souvenir shops. As soon as we get off the bus, we walked over to the bank of the lake to take in the view for a moment. Now we'll head up to the Schwangau Castle, which is actually where King Ludwig grew up. It's a little bit of a walk to get there, but nothing crazy. We won't be going in this castle, but the gardens and the view from up here are certainly worth the visit. Before we head up to the viewpoint, we will get a little food. There were plenty of restaurants and concessions around here, so we got currywurst and of course a brötchen. I forgot to video it, but to get up to the castle and the viewpoint, you can take a shuttle that costs around €3, I believe, and they only take cash. You also could walk, but it would have taken us way too long, and we wanted to make sure we had time to see everything. And as you can see, there's quite a line to the viewpoint already. This bridge is called Marienbrücke, which it's originally built by King Ludwig's father. It's 90 meters off the ground, which is about the length of one football field, so it's pretty high up there.
It's funny, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my phone.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Being out on the bridge and catching the first glimpse of the castle from there was unreal. It was like seeing a famous painting for the first time in real life. Once we cross the bridge, we'll continue up a little path to have a slightly different angle on the castle. As you can see, everywhere around here is extremely crowded. Yeah, everybody in the video. Now let's head back across the bridge and start making our way to the castle. We have to be there again in time for our timed entry tour. It was so crowded, I'm not gonna lie, I was really happy to get off the bridge on the way back. Now we're just waiting for the tour to begin. Like Schloss Linderhof, no photography is allowed inside of Neuschwanstein, but I'll add in some pictures of the interior of the castle from the website. Here's King Ludwig's bedroom, throne room, and an artificial cave. Like I said, the guy was a recluse. Now we're leaving the castle. There, walking downhill. 40 minutes up, 15 minutes down, supposedly. Wow. Now let's head back to Munich. Beer on the bus. We're gonna try Hofbräufhaus one more time. It seems to be a little less crowded on Sunday. Obviously, I got one of their famous beers. I think I've had more beer this weekend than I've had in the entire rest of my life. And this was what?
Krustenbraten.
Krustenbraten.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kruste is like the crust.
Yeah.
And braten is like, I don't know, meat when you put it in the oven for a longer time.
Okay. Okay. And then here we have
Käsespätzle.
Käsespätzle. So it's like a pasta, right?
Yes, pasta with cheese and then onion on it.
Okay. I'm excited. This is for Fabian. This is dessert.
Oh yeah.
The next morning, we check out of our room, but before we explore for the day, we go ahead and store our backpacks in the hotel's very apparently secure lockers. For breakfast, we go to a Rischart, which is a local bakery type of chain restaurant. We came to this one with the perfect rooftop dining area. Kaiserschmarrn. And then this is just
A regular German breakfast.
just regular German breakfast.
With the Brotkorb.
Okay. Oh wow, he flew off with like a huge piece. Next we're checking out yet another church, Alter Peter, which is famous for its steeple and very tall tower, which you can actually climb. We won't do that today, but I can imagine that you can get some really great views of the city from there. Actually, it appears that there's some sort of renovation going on. Honestly, I'm not really a huge fan of that organ. And what's next? You guessed it, another church. This one is Theatinerkirche. This church was so yellow on the outside, but on the inside, it really was quite black and white, with the exception of a few paintings. Now we're walking over to yet another iconic Munich site, Eisbachwelle, which is where people catch some waves. Yes, surfing in the middle of a city of a landlocked country. Eisbachwelle was originally a natural wave formed by the Eisbach River's flow. However, over time, modifications were made to the riverbed to turn it into a consistently surfable wave that it is today. Next, we head a little bit out of the city center to Munich Residence, which is a grand palace complex that had previously served as the seat of Bavarian rulers for centuries. Surrounding the palace is the extensive Hofgarten, covering about 25 acres. The gardens were free to explore, but it did cost money to go into the palace, and since we spent all day yesterday touring castles, we felt okay to skip that today and just enjoy the beautiful garden area. Next, we head over towards Sendlingertor and Sendlingerstraße, which seems to be another nice little shopping area. At this point, we're just killing some time before we have to catch our train back towards Hanover, and what better way to do that than to stop in the Haribo store.
Some cherry cola. Sure. And we can always
I was surprised at how cheap everything was here. All of this was only €3. We grabbed some dinner, and then soon we head over to the main station to board our ICE train and wrap up our busy and exciting weekend in Munich.